Everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Paige Ryans, and today we are talking about the 24th annual Garden State Film Festival, New Jersey's premier independent film festival. Garden State Film Festival will return from March 26th through March 29th with over 200 films from various countries, screening at 9 different venues throughout Asbury Park and Cranford, New Jersey. Tickets are available now at gsff.org/tickets, and there will also be tickets available at the door. And now let's dive in and meet today's filmmaker. Today I am joined by Jasmine Lowe, here to talk about her short film, You Need to Smile More. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to talk about your film. So,
Yeah, my film was for a honors degree in Melbourne, Australia. So it was paired with my thesis that was on feminine rage.
very nice, very nice. And also, quickly, I know you talked about kind of the film. What's your role with the film? If you could just.
So I was the writer, director. So with my film degree, you kind of had to it was all basically you, and then you source the crew and everything. So I was basically kind of doing everything. I also, because I use virtual production in my film, I also created the environment for that. Yeah, I was kind of doing most little things. Obviously, I had my main heads of departments with cinematography and
Mhm.
editing and everything. But yeah, I was kind of wrote the whole thing and then directed it and then also did the virtual production stuff.
Very busy. Many hats were worn. So,
Yeah, you have to for the uni degree, unfortunately.
yes, definitely. And what would you say was your inspiration for writing?
So I work in retail,
Mhm.
and I noticed also whenever if people were yelling at the dudes and the dudes got angry, it was kind of yeah, that's fine. But if females showed any type of emotion, it was negative. And so then I started noticing in the media that we consume, both fictional and non-fictional, it's very frowned upon for women to have rage. And even when they do have rage, it's about very specific things. It's not as they don't have as many freedoms as men.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And I think you made a great point with kind of like how you approach that in your film. Can you talk a little bit about kind of like what that process was like, and kind of a double question, what you were kind of hoping to explore in this film, like any
Yeah,
themes, any questions like that?
yeah. So the process for the film, so I had an honor supervisor. His name's Martin Potter, and basically he was helping me figure out feminine rage films to watch. So I looked up, I researched quite a few. So there was Gone Girl. Um, can't remember the name of the movie. I think it's got Gina Davis in it, and they're in a car. Thelma and Louise. Um, Promising Young Woman, and I watched so many films. And then I also was researching because there was this thing in America where this lady got a, a hot drink thrown at her while she was working in the drive-through of a cafe. So I think the dude threw a coffee at her, and she was she's she got a hammer or something and smashed his windshield. And she was like, I'm sick of people thinking that women can't react.
Mhm.
And there was a Anya, I can't remember her name. She's really famous. She's in that, I think, the Mad Max film. Anya Taylor, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Yeah, Anya Joy Taylor. She was talking, I think it was in the menu. She was talking about how she got a direction from the director about how she was just meant to sit there and cry. And she's like, no, if you would feel rage. And so she gets angry at her co-star Nicholas Hoult. And I was like, this is really showing me that we need more representation of feminine rage, but also broadening the reasons why we're getting angry. Because in my research, I was seeing it was quite boxed in the categories that you could be angry for. So it was if you've been cheated on, if you have mental health illness, like the movie Pearl, or if you've been assaulted. So I was like, well, I get angry at work, so I'm gonna write from something that I feel from, and also that I have a lot of friends that feel it from. And we also had lots of writers' rooms within my uni degree. So there were females and people that identify as females, like giving me like what they have felt, like their own personal experiences from men whilst at work, or just reasons to be angry. And then in my film, it's kind of, there's this like Karen, and she's kind of meant to represent like how if you don't let that anger out and you let it build up, and so then you start taking it out on other people instead of having that option to freely express it when you're growing up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That definitely makes sense. And I also really liked your approach to kind of, I think you had pretty much like three main symbols, like three main symbolic characters who each represented kind of a different um reaction or different, their role was to just kind of symbolize something more or symbolize like a different approach.
Yeah.
How important for you was like kind of choosing those characters to represent like the symbols that they did in the film?
It was really important to me. It took me a lot of brainstorming because I was scared if I like wrote the character to have a, like it was the mother that was angry, then it's just too many like angry females and it's going to look more negative. Like it was a really like trying to figure out how to write it so then it doesn't end up becoming a like a parody of itself. Like
Yeah.
it ends up taking away from the point. Um, and then one feedback in the class, there was this person that said, "Are we meant to like this character?" And like, but she's just so like, you know, not likable. And then the honors supervisor, Donna McRae, was like, "It doesn't matter. Like, it's she doesn't need to be likable. It's about showing the rage. Like, why does the girl have to be likable?" Um, and I was like, well, that's a good point. That was like early on in the process. But yeah, it took a lot of like, it was so finicky because it took me so long to like figure out the exact like characters because I was just so stressed about accidentally making it worth like taking away from the point. Um, yeah, it was a very long process because the degree goes for a year.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially a thesis is like a very, that's like the last hoorah. But it's
Yeah,
like
our thesis was actually written before we did the film.
okay.
So our thesis, we do all like the writing and all that, and then we talk about our process, but then we film it after we've done the thesis.
Gotcha. Interesting. Um, where did you find your cast? Or were they kind of like film students? Like, did you have to go through like a more casting process for that?
Um, so basically, the main actress, Charlie Morris, I'd actually worked with her on. We had this thing called a 1 minute film, and it's basically the same character except she's having a mental breakdown in the car. And she was recommended to me by for my 1 minute film. I had a cinematographer named Hannah Jennings, and her sister had worked with Charlie within a theater world. So Charlie is actually a really good theater actress, and she's so good. And she agreed to. I just asked her to do like an audition to make sure that I was definitely getting the right person. And I was like, yes, I know I want her, but I don't want to like, because I'd also auditioned other people from using, I think we call it Star now. It was just like, because it's self-funded and everything and we're all uni students. I just use Star now. And I was like, I know I want her, but to make sure, make things fair, I'll just get her to do the read through of the tape.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, she got that. And then the manager, so his name's Brandon. He was actually, I worked with him on a film where I was a production assistant. It was called Pegasus Highway. It was actually a uni film like 2 years before I had done the honors. So it was an honors film 2 years prior to me doing it. And he had expressed interest about doing it to my producer, Megan Alice. And so I just made him read through the tape and I was like, yep, I love your work. I love how like you're doing like condescending in like a subtle way. And then the father, Franco Leo, and the Karen, Lisa Sharp, they were just through Star now. And then the girl screaming in the car at the end was actually my first assistant director.
Wow. A nice little
Yeah.
cameo at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Cause yeah, I was like, Can you scream for me?
Yeah. It's a
A bit
pretty
of a
good,
spoiler, but yeah.
yeah. Well, it's okay. It's about the moment of the
Yeah.
is a good one. Um, and also just kind of talk a little bit about that ending, like without like I guess giving too much away, if as giveaways as much as you want to. But what did that ending look like for you? Like in the script, like how important was ending off with that last scene?
Um, I had so many different ideas about the ending. I wasn't sure how to do it at all. Because then there was one time where I was like, "Oh, she runs off and lives in the forest," and I was like, "What is this?" But my honors supervisor actually helped me. He was just like, "Oh, like I was listening to Wet Leg the other day, and then there was like this song I think where they're screaming. I can't remember the name of the song off the top of my head." And then I was like, "Oh yeah," because sometimes like, and then also when like in my uni days, I used to live near the beach, and me and my friends sometimes would go to the beach at like 2 a.m. and just yell. Just like, when you've got like bad group project partners, we'd have some, and we would just go, "Oh, I am so annoyed. Why can't they lift their work?" And I'm surprised the cops never got called. Like, they were like 4 girls just screaming into the ocean at 2 a.m. But yeah, that's kind of like, it was like, oh yeah, like I do that, but I didn't want it to be too much of like a self-reflection on me. But then I was like, oh, it's not like, my supervisors helped show me that a lot of people do this, or they don't realize that they can just let it out like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just showed like I think me watching that, it just showed like I can just go and do that. I can just go to a park or in the car or go to the beach, and do that. And it is very therapeutic. So,
Yeah, it's so therapeutic when you're doing it with someone else as well. Like just
yes,
knowing that they're feeling that too.
yes. And I think that that's what's so special and like important about that moment. It's just like looking over and seeing another person that's also doing that. Like, yes, we are on the same page. Like someone else understands this. Like there's no judgment. So
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of meaning in that last scene. And I think it was very powerful to end off with. Um, I also had a question. I know you used virtual production for this film.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of made that what like talk about your process of doing that in the film.
Yeah, so originally, because we have to choose like an honors theme, so mine ended up being feminine rage. But before that, when I signed up to do honors,
Mhm.
I didn't know what I actually wanted to do. So I just knew I wanted to do virtual production because I had done an internship in virtual production at this place called Dream Screen Australia, which is located within Melbourne, Australia. And I really enjoyed my time there. I just didn't know what theme or anything. So the actual first thing I knew that I was doing was virtual production. I just in my bachelor's degree, I kind of missed out on learning all that stuff because I did the internship in my final year. So I just wanted to explore that more. But then I ended up, I had like my first lesson, and they're like, okay, so now we need to figure out themes. And I just kind of made mine up on the spot because I just had like a bad day at work the previous day. And I was like, ugh,
Mhm.
people are so annoying. Like customers are so annoying. So I just made it up on the spot, like a feminine rage thing, because we had to do a slideshow, and I was like, I'm an angry lady, so I'm gonna do a film on being an angry lady.
Why not?
But yeah, virtual production thing. Um, I also used filming plates, so that scene where she's in the dark yelling in her car,
Mhm.
she was actually in a studio with the video in the background, but it's actually the same place that we go to the at the end. So where she's yelling with the other girl, that's the same place, but that's actually physically there. But because we couldn't film at night, my cinematographer Darcy, he actually used day for night, so he just color graded it to make it dark and everything because it's a bit unsafe to try and film in that spot at night.
Mhm.
Um, and then the tech shop was a virtual production thing that was completely through Unreal Engine, and it can look a little janky sometimes because it's like a uni project, so I don't have like the funds to like make it boom boom boom. And it was also an experiment. My production designer Jamie had never used virtual production before, so or maybe like a one-off, so it was just also like a learning experience for them. um but yeah, it was kind of like the first thing I knew that I was definitely doing. Um, it was just kind of like figuring out what to do with that. So I was like, oh, tech shop, that might be easier than something else that is a bit harder for me to try and do in Unreal Engine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I think it all fell into place so perfectly. I think it was meant to happen. And I think, you like you said, you started off virtual production. You knew that that's what you kind of wanted to do. And then leading into, having, you know, people don't want to have bad days, but sometimes those days lead to good things, which it turned out to just a good idea. And then that just kept evolving and you were able to create.
Yeah, and it gave like a safe place for my actress to do, like, especially when she's in the car, like, so people aren't looking at her, they're not wondering why she's hitting a pillow
Yeah.
in the middle of a thing. And also it helped for recording audio. There's no like cars continuously driving past and everything because it was in a public area. um but yeah, it was just kind of like a safe place for her to be able to express that without people coming up or just being confused and everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, again, I think you did a great job just kind of telling the story and just approaching this film from a different perspective. And, I think that it really will encourage audiences, of all sorts, of all ages to, I think there's much to take away from this story. And I think most importantly, it's just a reminder that it's okay to just let out a scream every now and then, because that can be very therapeutic. And wherever that may be, it will be therapy for you. So,
Yeah. I also forgot to add that all the scenes where she's driving, that's also virtual production. We didn't actually get like a car and film like from a side. That was literally that's another reason why I use virtual production. So we took the videos, um like we put GoPro cameras on my car and I was like driving around because the car that we use in the film is also my car. So like at least we got all like the spots and like positioning right. So all those things were virtual production. And then when she's kind of like, we did like a weird slow mo thing. So I just wanted to look like she was out of it. So we put like the background for the driving thing where there's like that horn and everything. We did that really, I believe it was really fast on the virtual production wall. And so then when my cinematographer was recording, he did like a magazine style thing and he slowed it down in the camera. And I really liked the creative aspect of being able to use the virtual production wall on things that aren't always 3D environments,
yeah,
like real life things as well.
yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. And I think that it, there's symbolic elements, especially like your approach to it, like you said, with the video and kind of like it looked like she was kind of out of it. I think it just relates to just that moment in the scene. Like it really comes together really nicely and it looks great. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. And my last question for you is, will you be joining us at the festival this year in person?
Unfortunately, I cannot, just because I live in Australia and it's a bit hard for me to be able to get to there currently.
All right, understandable. Definitely understandable. Well, we wish you could be joining us, but nonetheless, we will be supporting your film. You can check out You Need to Smile More. It'll be on Saturday, March 28th at the Berkeley Continental, Block BC25, between 12:30 p.m. and 2:05 p.m. Again, for everyone watching, we hope to see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year. 200 films, 9 venues, Asbury Park and Cranford, New Jersey. You can get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. And thank you all for joining us. Jasmine, thank you for being here.
Thank
And
you for having me so much.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And take care. All right.
Thank you, you too.